Hi, I'm Shane. This is Final Girl Reviews, and welcome to another episode of Pillow Talk. So, in this episode, I really want to talk about a real life person and a character that they play. I'm going to use The Last Showgirl as my cover photo. I don't know why I have a cover photo disclaimer for every Pillow Talk now, but that's what I'm going to use. But really, my thoughts about this have been going for a while since I watched Pamela, A Love Story. Once I started figuring out like kind of my groove with these pillow talks and what my goal was and what I really wanted to accomplish with it, I knew that I needed to talk about this. I feel like I've been rooting for Pamela Anderson since I was a little girl, and there's a pretty good reason for that. I'm really fortunate that in the 90s and early 2000s, I was raised by people that did not subscribe to the really ugly ideas of women and what they should look like and how they should act and how much they should weigh or anything like that. Especially my dad, he was very pro woman, like very positive. He never really spoke of her in like an overly like sexualized or fetishized way. He just thought she was beautiful and she was smart and she was a good actress, and he was just a big fan, and that really surprisingly affected me growing up. Now, that's not to say some of those kind of negative attitudes about women didn't seep into me or how I felt about myself, and I've had to do a lot of unlearning a lot of that over the years. A little bit of framework or backstory or whatever you want to call it. I really want to talk about Pamela, A Love Story, the documentary that she put out, I think in 2023, and then I want to talk about The Last Showgirl, and it's all kind of intertwined for me because of who Pamela Anderson is. Now, Pamela, A Love Story, I was so happy to see a documentary come out about Pamela Anderson. I just love her. I'm a big fan, and I thought it was really cool that she was putting out a book and that there was a documentary, and I loved watching it because I loved seeing how much she valued herself and her peace. She went through so much being in the public eye, especially back in the day, like I was talking about before. She went through a lot, and instead of like kind of going on one of those like celebrity spirals, she went home and she started a garden. And I thought, wow, like she really doesn't need all of that. She's secure in herself, and she had to take care of herself and her family, and I just thought that was like really, really cool. Documentary, you see that she's invited to perform in Chicago on stage, and I thought, like, wow, like this is a woman who's like around her 50s, and they're bringing her to this like major performance. I'm like so nervous for her because she's been out of the spotlight for a long time, and she just like kills it. Of course, I shouldn't have expected anything else, but she just knocks it out of the park because she's just so talented. And so I was so happy for her to see that things were going well for her, and I really had a feeling that it was going to turn into something more. When I first heard about The Last Showgirl, I knew I couldn't wait to watch it. As I'm sure you've noticed, I really find like female characters, female-centered stories, especially when it comes to beauty or motherhood or aging, like those kind of themes are important to me, and The Last Showgirl covered all of that. It is centered around her value as a dancer, her value in the way that she looks, her value in how she performs, her value in how others perceive her is always at the forefront of it. And all the while, everybody is kind of telling her well, not everybody, but she's kind of being told that she's selfish. And do I agree that she made selfish decisions? Yeah, I mean, she's not a perfect character, but there's something about women who perform, and I think all women perform to some degree. I mean, maybe some Maybe some don't, but as a woman, I feel like I perform, and very often for an ungrateful audience. And that's exactly what I kind of kept thinking about while I was watching this, because she's dedicated her whole life to being a showgirl. She made sacrifices. She lost custody of her daughter because she couldn't afford a babysitter. She probably could have handled it better, but we're all doing the best we can at whatever time, we're in. And I think that's true for that character. And I don't know, I just feel like I have a lot of empathy for her, because she's at this like fork in the road in her life after dedicating so much of it to performing, and now she's just kind of being tossed aside, and there's something so tragic about that. And I don't think anybody else could have done her character justice in this movie. I think Pamela Anderson was a perfect choice for it because of her history as this kind of like bombshell over the years, this like sex symbol. She has been performing, I feel, for ungrateful audiences for a long time, and then she just like kind of stepped out, and now she's back and she's playing this role that is nuanced and complicated and like special, and I was just so impressed, and I felt like she was the perfect choice for it. This has me thinking a lot about expectations and how women are expected to behave or look, and I think it's something that I think about so often because I am, on social media, and while I haven't had a lot of bad instances of people treating me badly or anything like that, I mean, it's just, it's one of those things that unless you're in somebody's shoes, you don't really understand. And not that I'm at all comparing myself to Pamela Anderson, but the thing is, like, when you present yourself a certain way, you're perceived a certain way, and the fact that so much of like who you are gets missed is kind of sad to me. I feel like so much of it was missed with her, so much of it is missed in her character that she plays in The Last Showgirl, and I kind of relate to feeling like I'm not always seen for like who I am, and that's just kind of how the world works, and I understand that. And then when you throw on the topic of motherhood, that over complicates everything, because talk about expectations on women. Mothers are expected to perform these like feats of enormous strength at all times, and there's a quote from the movie that I want to read out. Hold on. Our mothers are not saints or sinners. They're just regular people doing the best that they can with what they have. I think that's it. I could have gotten it wrong, but you get the general idea. Mothers are just like anybody else. We make mistakes. We have our own personal lives. We all want to be perceived a certain way or seen a certain way. We don't want to be judged for the choices that we make. And I don't know, maybe all this does feel personal. Not that I think I'm like her, but just what womanhood, motherhood in general, I feel is that there's just so much pressure to behave a certain way or be seen a certain way or do something a certain way, and it always just feels like no matter what you do, you never make the right choices. And I just thought that The Last Showgirl really, I feel like it's a really special movie, and I think it's going to hopefully gain like traction over time. It didn't get a wide enough release, I don't think. I haven't seen enough people talking about it. I wish I had gotten a screener so that I could review it early. But I just want to come on and talk about how much I loved it. I thought it was a really beautiful story, about really beautiful people, not just on the outside, but who they are on the inside, and how so many of us feel like we are performing all the time, and how sometimes it would be nice to just be seen for who we are. And the way Pamela Anderson just kind of started growing vegetables and making pickles, I think is really cool. And I don't know, it just made me feel kind of hopeful, seeing her like kind of renaissance. She deserves it. She's very talented and she's very smart, and I'm really happy for her. I think that's all. Maybe. Maybe I'm emotional because the movie made me cry. I mean, even thinking about the documentary, it made me emotional just because I don't think she got a fair shake, and now it feels like she's getting her chance to really be the the talented like artist that she is. So I'm just happy for her. I love the movie. I think you should watch it. Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you for watching another episode of Pillow Talk. Bye.